Hello and welcome to this ASU-TV Special A-State Red Wolves 2022-2023 Year in Review. I'm Tristan Harlan, producer for ASU-TV and the host of Red Wolf Roundtable here on ASU-TV.
And I'm Easton John, producer for ASU-TV and the host of Red Wolf Roundtable After Dark here on ASU-TV. Today we're joined by Vice Chancellor of Intercollegiate Athletics for Arkansas State University, Jeff Purinton, to recap the year in A-State athletics and preview what is to come in the future for the Red Wolves. Mr. Purinton, thank you for joining us today. First question, simple enough. How has your first year been here at Arkansas State?
First year's been great. We have a lot to get done. We still do, but I feel like we made some really good strides in some of the areas we needed to address right off the bat. I started in June officially, but my family has adjusted really well. Kids and my wife Julie love it here, and getting to know the people in the community and their school. So that part has been even better than expected, which allows me to lock in and focus on the things we need to get done in terms of athletics.
Exactly.
So what's the transition been like for you going to your position from Alabama to being here to being the Vice Chancellor for Intercollegiate Athletics here at Arkansas State?
Yeah, I mean, there's different challenges no matter which university you work for. There were things at Alabama, just because you have, a bigger budget and things like that, you still have a lot of the same challenges in terms of getting the right people in the right places. So that was one of the big things. We need to make a couple hires right when I got here. So hired Brandon Cunningham as our deputy AD, shuffled around some responsibilities in terms of our executive team and some sport oversight responsibilities. So just kind of getting the organizational chart together and where I was comfortable with it, making a couple hires, and then obviously coaching. We had a few hires, most recently basketball, so fired up about that, and just trying to get the culture right first and foremost. And then my whole thing is lead by example, and I'm not going to ask anybody to do anything that I wouldn't be willing to do myself.
And we saw the basketball coach at the spring game, the Coach H, and he called out somebody in particular over in Fayetteville. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I think Brian was just having a little fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly I think we want to try to do what's best for the entire state of Arkansas. I think playing Arkansas makes a lot of sense. We've done it in some of our sports. We were supposed to play a baseball game up there, but the weather caused that to be canceled. So we made it to the national championship in bowling. So I ended up going to a few of the events early Saturday morning, and then I went to the airport to watch our bowling team. And so I had to miss the actual game Saturday, but really happy with our group and tried to make that into a big weekend. And I think we had as many fans as we've had for a spring game, or at least in quite some time. So
exactly. That's great.
Happy with the way that all turned out.
That's great. And so what made you want to become the Vice Chancellor for Intercollegiate Athletics?
So as I went to school at Florida State and started working in the athletic department, I just love being around sports, being around student athletes, being around coaches, being kind of part of a team. So I volunteered at FSU, and early on in my college career, I knew I'd like to be an AD someday. So just tried to gain as much experience as I could in a multitude of areas. And then, part of it was you had to be willing to move to where there was an opportunity. So felt like I had worked my way up, worked at the Orange Bowl, been at Alabama for 15 years. Most recently, I was the deputy AD, so pretty much the number two to Greg Byrne, who was the athletic director there. And I felt like I had learned so much, especially from Greg the last few years, that I was prepared and ready for a potential role as an athletic director, but it also needed to be at the right place and what was right for our family. And like I mentioned earlier, Jonesboro, from what every coach and every administrator that has come through here just talked about the people here and all those parts of it. And I also wanted to work like Tuscaloosa in a place where, the university and the athletics is ingrained in the community.
Right.
We don't have any professional sports here, just like at Alabama. So you're rooting for the Red Wolves, and you see it across town. And that's what I really enjoyed. And going to the Orange Bowl for that year really emphasized to me that I wanted to be on campus again.
Right.
And I loved working down there. It was a great experience. But you're more so selling tickets and sponsorships and those kind of things. Where here, every event that we have, you're winning or losing, and you're hopefully positively affecting young people's lives in terms of the student athlete experience as well.
That's all it's all about.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and we had the chance to sit down previously when you really first got here to Jonesboro, and so kind of want to pick your brain a little bit. What things within A-State athletics are you maybe looking to improve within the coming years of you being here?
Well, of course, like I said, student athlete experience and culture, and then winning and losing. If we're going to play a sport, we want to win and have success and put on a good product, hopefully, for our fans. So, I think doing what I can do to help in recruiting for all of our sports. I've met with, anytime a coach wants me to meet with a recruit, I make some time to do so and just talk about, how we're going to, put the right people around their daughter or son if they do choose to come to A-State. So however I can impact us, having success on the court or the field, starting with that, but then also the other parts of the puzzle in terms of, our academic support, the medical care, the mental health part of the equation as well. So really focused on that and just getting, like I said, the right people in the right places in all those areas.
Yeah,
Right, and speaking on that, so what can we do as a collective group to continue to improve the relationship maybe between the athletics department and some of maybe the student body, especially with us here at ASU-TV with shows like Red Wolf Roundtable, who we're constantly talking about these student athletes. What is something that we can do to improve that relationship here at Arkansas State?
I think the more we can message and make sure all of our students on campus know that we have different events going on and how they make such a difference in terms of even the outcome of games, but also the experience part of it. So I've talked to Dr. Shields a lot about it. Obviously, he's even newer than I am, but we want to go meet with the different student groups and find out, what can we do to incentivize your attendance at the games. Football, we had some challenges with the weather the last couple games, so part of that is understandable to a degree, but man, you also want to have your students there because it affects the whole rest of the crowd too.
Right.
So a couple of the basketball games when we had a full, pretty full student section, I think it can maybe get you a win or two here and there. So the more we can say, hey, appreciate your support. We're all in this together. The more success we have, athletically, it impacts our entire campus and our entire community.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What does something like that look like? I mean, just picking your brain more, what would something like that to you want? What would you want that to look like?
So one of the things we're talking about a lot leading into football season is commit to 6. So we only have 6 home football games. They're going to be on Saturday, unless something were to change in terms of TV. But can we just mark those 6 football dates? And commit to being there, getting there early when the team comes out for warm-ups, supporting your fellow students. I don't know if there's a way to incentivize it, but we're certainly going to have those discussions. And, we have the Order of the Pack, which is a great event. So how do we take some of the elements of Order of the Pack that are so successful and put those into our football and basketball games and our other sporting events as well?
And speaking of football, with the inclusion of the NIL and the transfer portal, and what changes do you need to make in sort of adjust to that sort of new thing that's brought into college athletics?
Yeah, I think, one of the things that was attractive about Coach Hodgson was he was very involved in the recruiting at Alabama. Part of that is knowing what's going on in the transfer portal. You can't directly be involved in terms of what goes on in NIL, but, the Impact Club is a group that is going to be helpful for A-State so we can remain competitive in the Sun Belt. But you kind of have to switch the way you look at things in terms of monitoring the portal. It's become a daily thing that these coaches are going to have to do and stay on top of, and we have to support our coaches in terms of our other areas of the department too.
Exactly.
And what's maybe been some of your favorite moments from this past athletic season? I mean, I know there's not a whole lot to talk about, but is there certain things that kind of stand out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I went to Birmingham and saw us win, the men's and women's indoor track championships, and that was really cool. Enjoyed that, and just seeing the job Coach Patchell does, and I talk a lot about culture. Well, he has the culture right in terms of track and field and cross country. And then it kind of builds on itself. Going out to the bowling national championship was a really, really neat deal. And we'll hopefully next year we'll be able to, win one more game and get the
bring home
national
the gold.
championship. That's
bring
right.
Home the gold.
And the other part, I just I told the story before. One of my first few days here, Justin Parks, I was in the office late, and a car pulls up next to me, and I wasn't sure what was going on, and I didn't know any of the football players at the time because I just started. Justin gets out of his car. He just said, "Hey, I want to welcome you to A-State, and so glad you're here." And he grew up going to some Alabama games, so he'd read about my background. And so now I keep up with Justin as much as anybody, and had him to lunch in the office the other day and sat with him at a scrimmage. But just developing those relationships that hopefully will be lifelong. And same thing with Terrence Ford and some of the guys, when we're going through the coaching change, and they're trying to handle the transfer portal too, and getting different people giving their opinions on what they should do, but keeping in touch with Terrence. And then, eventually I wasn't sure how much I'd like sitting on the stage at graduation. I went to my graduation, but it was several hours I wasn't too fired up about. But seeing your student athletes as they go through, their time here, and then seeing them walk across that stage and accomplish something of significance, like earning their degree, that is very meaningful to me.
Exactly. And so what excites you about the future of Arkansas State?
I just think, the trajectory our programs are on. I feel like we got a lot of positive momentum. I think Coach Jones has done a really good job of building the roster and back-to-back, top-rated recruiting classes in the Sun Belt, adding a couple transfers in the mix. I'm excited about, our football team, hopefully, going to a bowl game again. That would be outstanding. And I think Butch has got it rolling in the right direction there. And then we talked about basketball, but also, Coach Des with women's hoops going into her second year and getting her roster the way she wants it. And just seeing all the sports, we hired Herman as our new tennis coach, and you can see them improve even from when he first arrived a few months ago to now, and getting that thing turned around. So just feel like we're heading in a positive direction, both with our sports and with the athletic department overall.
And that's a great thing to see. That's a great thing to see. Tristan,
And Mr. Jeff, real quick, kind of the last sort of thoughts from you here is, how important is it that we get people to buy season tickets to our athletic teams?
Oh, it's extremely important. Obviously, there's the financial component to it, which I think everybody would understand. But two, a lot of, when you see games on ESPN Plus or you're there in person, it makes such a difference in terms of the game experience, like I talked about, but also in recruiting. So the other thing we're trying to encourage is Red Wolf Walk, getting that going, because we have recruits that are there at the beginning of Red Wolf Walk, and then also encouraging our student athletes as they, come into the stadium. So all of that, and like I mentioned, how you impact basketball games. We're gonna switch the student section so they're near the visitor bench, and they're going to be behind the goal for the second half, and hopefully maybe that'll a missed free throw or two here and there.
Let them hear the smack talk and stuff like that.
Yeah, as long as it's tasteful.
Exactly. So thank you again for joining us here today, and that'll do it for this ASU-TV special, A-State Athletics 2022-2023 Year in Review. Thank you, Mr. Jeff Purinton, for joining us here and taking your time out of your busy schedule as well.
Not a problem.
We appreciate it. And we'd also like to thank Mr. Sullivan's sports production class for all their hard work and their effort putting this ASU-TV special on air. Thanks to our broadcast engineers, Derek Herring and Clayton Horfield, for all their help and support.
To find out about more things A-State Athletics, please visit astateredwolves.com. And for more information on everything ASU TV, please visit asutv.com. Thank you so much for watching.